In this video, you will learn about automated browsing with Selenium. Selenium is an awesome tool to automate browsing, and it's quite intuitive once you get used to it. So let's get started. So we will learn Selenium with an example. We will try to automate browsing of nboard.dk, which is a website that connects companies with potential board members. So we have a long list of board members that we would like to scrape. And to do this, we need to use Selenium to go through this website because it's dynamically made. The first step is to load the web page we want to scrape, and we will load it in our virtual browser so we can work from that. I will show you how to do that now. So first, we need the URL of our web page we want to scrape, and then we want to install our WebDriver, which will drive our virtual browser. And third, we open up our web page on this virtual browser using this Selenium function get. And I can run the code here. Let's see what happens. So now you can see that the code I just ran open up this virtual browser. And you can see that it is a virtual browser from this bar up here, where it says Chrome is being controlled by automated test software. So from this virtual browser, we can use Selenium to browse around the web page, and that is what we are going to do. So we are on the web page we want to scrape, and the first thing we notice is that we have this annoying cookie bar down here. And we would like to click away this cookie notification with Selenium. So to do that, we need to find this button and then click it away with Selenium. And we need to find where this button is placed in the HTML to click it away. So I will open up a new same web page, but just in a normal browser to find this button in the HTML. So I have already done that here, and the way we will find the button is using the CSS selector that we have used in the last session. So I will open up that in here, Google Chrome extensions and the selector gadget, and we see this bar down here. So we would like to hit this button. So I'll just try to click here, and we see that the path to this button, and we see that it's a unique path. So we can just copy paste this and use this path in our notebook to click away the cookie notification with Selenium. So let's do that in the notebook. Now we're back in the notebook, and step 2 of our web scraping is that we want to click away the cookie notification. So the way we do that is using the Selenium function find element, and we find this element using a CSS selector. So we type by.css selector, and then we state the path to this element. And in our case, the element is this cookie button. So when we have found this cookie button, I save it in this object cookie, and then we can just use another Selenium function called click to click on this cookie button. So I will do that. And let's go back to the virtual browser from before. We will see now that the cookie button is gone. So we have clicked it away. Step 3 in our web browser is that we only want the board members of all these profiles down here. So I'll just enlarge this. And then you can see that we want to find this place here on the web page and click this button. And then we'll only get the board members profiles here. So again, we will go back to the same web page in a normal browser, and then I can go through the HTML to find the place where this button is placed in the HTML. So I will do that now. So I'll go to the normal website here, and then we can right click on this button and click on inspect, and we will get to the place where the button is in the HTML. So right now the web page is built like so I cannot see the button over here actually, so I can just make this float instead, so I can just see where I'm actually pointing at in the HTML. So it seems like this place in the HTML has the button that we are interested in, and we will just need to figure out exactly what element we are interested in. So I can see that this element looks right, and I see that we have an ID attribute, so I can actually use this ID attribute to uniquely identify the button that we are interested in. So I will use this ID attribute back in the notebook to click on the button. So let's get back to the notebook. Step 3 in our web scraping is that we only want the board members in these profiles. So in parentheses, this is the Danish name for board member. We want to click on the box board member. And I found that this ID uniquely identify the element in the HTML where this box board member is located. So it might take a while to exactly find the place in the HTML that locates the button, but I have found that this works. So we can locate that element using the Selenium function find element by ID, which speaks for itself, I think. And we then store it in the object board member, and then we click on the button. So let's see what happens then. So let's get back to our virtual browser, and we can now see that the button board member has been clicked on. With Selenium, we can also scroll down this web page to load more profiles. So right now I'm doing it manually, but we can actually use Selenium to load more profiles because the profiles here are delivered dynamically each time I scroll down the web page. So let's try to do that with Selenium. So in our notebook, we want to scroll down using Selenium, and we can do that in this loop. So what we do in this loop is that we use the Selenium function execute script to execute some JavaScript that scrolls down on the web page. So this JavaScript, you don't need to exactly understand what happens here, but it will scroll down to the bottom of the web page. And we will do that 5 times. So each time we have scrolled down to the bottom of the web page, we will sleep for 3 seconds, and then we will try to scroll down again. So we will just keep on loading more and more profiles. And we do that for 5 times. So let's see how it works. Let's get back to our virtual browser. So we can see here that the virtual browser has scrolled down to the bottom of the page. And what we don't see here is that the browser actually waits for 3 seconds, then it scrolls down again, waits for 3 seconds, scrolls down again. And when it has done that for 5 times, it stops. So let's see if, yeah, now it's done. It's not loading anymore. So we can go up on the web page to look at how many profiles it has loaded, and we see that it has loaded a lot of profiles, many more than before. So it worked. Now we get this weird idea that we only want board members with the surname Hansen. So we can scroll down a little bit on the web page, and we see that on this field we can actually search for the name of the profiles. So we want to use Selenium to find this field and type in Hansen, so we can search for only the profiles with the surname Hansen. So what we do is we go back to our browser, our normal browser, and on this web page again, and we figure out where this field is in the HTML. So let's do that. Let's get back here, scroll down, right click, inspect. We've done this a lot of times right now. And then again, we need to find the place in the HTML where this field is placed. So it seems like that this is the place in the HTML, and it looks like it has an ID attribute, so we can actually uniquely identify this element in HTML. And so we need to use this ID attribute to click on the field and type in Hansen with Selenium. And we will do that in our notebook here. So we have decided that we only want profiles with the surname Hansen, and we have found our unique ID to locate the element. So I use the same function as before, find element by ID, type in the ID, and store the object as candidate. And then we click on candidate just as before. And now we just want to type in our search text. So the way we do that is we use the Selenium function send keys, and then we write Hansen. So then Selenium will do the work for us and send this Hansen keys to our field. So let's try that. See, so now we actually, I was fast enough to go to the virtual browser, so we could actually see what was happening while the code was running. So it was finding the field in the HTML, clicking on the field, and then typing in Hansen. And what we see now is all the candidates with the surname Hansen. The final step in our web scraping of this web page is that we want to know how many profiles actually match the criteria that we set. So we can see that actually it says up here the number of results that we get. So that's 105. But we also want to find that automatically. And now we are actually done with Selenium. The way to find this number automatically is using Beautiful Soup to parse the HTML, because this number is just located in the HTML. Now, when we have used Selenium to select all the criteria that we have. So we will go to our normal browser and to this web page, and then try to figure out where in HTML is this number here. Now we are back in our normal browser, and we can right-click on the number and click on inspect, and we can then see that the number is hidden here in the HTML. So we'll just click down the HTML tree to see that the number is actually hidden here in the either in the tag span and the class written like this, or the tag B and the class and the same class. So it doesn't matter if we choose span or B, because it refers to the same text. So we will go back to the notebook, and then we'll use this class and one of these tags to locate the number here in the text. Back in the notebook, we want to know how many profiles satisfy our criteria, so we went to the HTML to use Beautiful Soup to locate this number. So we import Beautiful Soup, and then we need to make our Beautiful Soup object, as you learned in session 7. And to do that, we need to know where the Selenium driver actually keeps the HTML of the web page. And it does that in the page source object. So we write driver.pageSource, and then our parser, as you have learned. And we store it in soup. And we remember that the tag span and the class written like this was referring to the number that we are interested in. So we use find all elements with the tag span and the class written like this, and store it in results. And you can look for yourself, but you will actually see that the number is not the only thing that is stored in elements with the tag span and this class. So we need to go through the list of results and figure out where the number is actually stored. And I have done that. So I pick out the number in the results list and save it in results again. So now we have our results. Our results object here is only the number element that we are interested in. And we are only interested in the text of this element, not the HTML code of the element. So we store the text of the element in the profiles object. I'll do that now. And you can see that the profiles object then stores the text that this element was storing as well. But you can also see that we also have a lot of other text with this number, but we only need the number, so we somehow need to take this number out of this long string. And we cannot get any further with Beautiful Soup because now we only have a string and we don't have any HTML code, which is what the Beautiful Soup uses to pass the HTML string. So instead we can use regex to take out the number from the string. So you have heard a little bit about regex, and now I will show you how to take out a number from this string. So first we import our regex package, and then we can use this regex search function to type in some regex code, which is written here. So what this means is that the R in front of the string here makes the string in here to a raw string. It means that, for example, a \n, which is normally a new line in a string, is just understood as a \n. So it's just a raw string. You can try to Google raw string Python, and then you can read more about that. So inside the string, we have our regular expression, and the \d is regular expression for digits. So what this does is that it tells the search function that it needs to find all digits in the string, and the plus after the \d tells the search function that it needs to find every digit that is present in the string. If we didn't have the plus function, then it would just find one digit. So we type in this regex function, and we specify what string it needs to match this regular expression on, and that is our profiles string. And we save that in number profiles. And to get to the result of our regular expression search up here, then we need to use the function group on the number profiles object here, and then I save that in number profiles again. So you will learn more about regex in the next session, or just after this this video. And so you don't need to understand this fully, but it's a nice example to show how to use regex. So I will run this code. And you can see that the number of profiles object now stores the number of profiles that meets our criteria. So now you have watched a small example of how to use Selenium to browse a dynamically made web page and scrape the information that you're interested from this web page. And here in the end, I just have some additional notes that I would like to share with you. So in the last 3 sessions, you have learned the fundamentals of web scraping, i.e. collecting and parsing data from the web. But many companies that have made a business out of their data on the web, for example, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, and they are not necessarily that keen of sharing all their data with you. So they are battling scrapers by creating all kinds of obstacles to make it hard for us to scrape their data. So I have found some articles that address these obstacles, and you can go through the articles if you would like to read more and become better at scraping, or if you would like to scrape some of these big companies' websites, because they have a lot of interesting data. And then one last note that I think you should remember. As I said, you know the fundamentals about web scraping, but this web scraping course will never be able to prepare you for all situations. So the only way to get better at web scraping and to understand all the different kind of situations and web pages that you can be met with is to work on your own web scraping problems and just get into a lot of problems and then try to solve them and Google around and figure out if somebody else has had the same problems, and then just iterate with a lot of exercises and web scraping projects. So it's just you should just get started and start on your own web scraping projects, and then I'm sure that you will master the art of web scraping at some point.